Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got Rick Healey. Let me tell you how this happened, Rick, right? You messaged me and then something told me you need to get Rick on the podcast. And I have no reason, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I need to get you on.
Yeah.
I think, what did I see? Cactus. And I was like, just get Rick on and talk. Why did I do that?
The universe, isn't it?
Ain't
It's
it?
the universe. It's that message. It's that thing that we think's not in between us, this vast space, but there's something that connects. There's something on the wavelength in there that connects everybody and everything. From that gut feeling that you get in your stomach to, I don't know, like you say, the vision that you had in your meditation that day after I commented and you'd seen the cactus. That I do, yeah.
How does a lad from Norwich who's a scaffolder, right, think like this?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just. It started years ago. I just watched a random program, and it kind of explained. You know, it was about. It was called Duck Quacks Don't Echo. And there was someone said,
"What was it called again?"
Duck Quacks Don't Echo. So it was sort of like a MythBusters kind of program that was on over here. And what it was, someone had said that people who are in love, when they stare at each other for 45 seconds, the heartbeats become in sync. So they got trial people in, random people and couples, and they did the test for all the couples that was all in love. The heartbeats became in sync within 45 seconds. So after that, I was just like, there's something that connects them people to bring the heart rates. They just leveled like that, and I was amazed by it. And I just thought,
how old were you when you saw that?
Oh, I don't know. I could have been. It was in my 30s.
Right.
Everything like I'm 48 now, so it's definitely my 30s that I kind of got into the more meditate. I went through a bit of a hard time in my life about 15 years ago, and that's when I kind of got into the meditation side.
Can you talk
of
about
things.
that? What that was that hard time?
No,
it's fine.
It's
fine.
a bit. Yeah, it's very complicated and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, that was when I used meditation to kind of to get myself through the panic and
How did you
that.
do the meditation then? Where did you what research did you do to find that meditation?
I just went onto YouTube and just found a guided one. I would just sit in the front room on my little cushion and then just like the breathing ones.
What were these 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's between 10 and 15 years ago. Yeah, that's when I first got.
Before that moment and before that experience, the bad experience that happened to you, did you have a knowing or a sort of? Did you know there was something different in the way you were thinking at all?
Yeah, I don't think back then. I don't think so. No, I think it was more when around that time. I've always I've been fascinated by the universe and things like that, and curious, and looked up at the stars and always had that what is the what if that extra, is there something beyond and stuff like that kind of thing. But I think I got more into my meditation and that kind of stuff around that time.
So you started with the guided stuff, and then what were you doing that every single day? What was that practice?
At first I was, and then I don't do as much as I do as I have done in the past. I kind of use it as and when, because things are a lot better for me now, and I kind of just use the meditation if I need it, and I don't it's few and far between now that I feel, but like I say, I got to the point where I should probably do it a lot more. My wife says you need to do it more, but I kind of use it, as I need it kind of thing,
So what that sparked your meditation? Sparked you into doing what then? Looking at the universe and connection.
Yeah, it was. I just all kinds of stuff. It was.
So is that Mythbuster thing that sort of set you on the path?
I think so. To like my curiosity to there's something else, the spiritual side of things. Because people just before that, people probably just think the spiritual side of things is just what's written in the Bible and in books and stuff like that. But whereas I kind of felt as if like there's actually something real here. There's something that actually there's proof. That there is something. Like consciousness, there's this, connection, network, whatever it is that people are tuned into. Some people dip the toe in it. I think some people are very tuned into that network. People who get gut feelings and all that kind of thing. That's a big part of it, I think. Yeah.
So what's some of the research that you've done then? How far did you go down once you're doing the meditation? What other things did you sort of go into after that?
Well, I found myself on the path of like the looking into. So as far as like the cactus go and I looked into like psychedelics. Because all that part of thing is I use while I was on antidepressants for a short while just to help me cope with things, and I wanted to come off them, and I didn't like the withdrawal symptoms of coming off the medication, so I did some research. I went onto YouTube, and there was a lady on there called Amanita Dreamer, and she taught us that the Amanita mushroom, the toadstool, the red toadstool, it has healing properties, and it is great for coming off barbiturates and other kinds of medication, along them lines. So that I went down that. I got some off a seller online, and I made this tea, and it worked. And so it's just like these.
So what is it? What was that mushroom then?
It's called the Amanita muscaria. It's what we've always been led to believe as being bad medicine. It's a poisonous mushroom, and you mustn't touch it. The red with the white, with that you see everywhere. Well, it is.
But you see Mario Kart?
Yeah. When you see it is from back in the day a form of medicine for trauma and stuff like that. It was
so there's no hallucinogenic properties to it. It's just
not as I'm aware. That's not the route I went down. It was just purely I just used very small dose just to get off that. But then that story kind of led me to other kinds of sacred medicines and stuff like that. So that's where I got the interest in the cactus and with the San Pedro and the peyote.
So tell me about that. Talk to me about that.
They're the San Pedros.
So what's that one that you've given me there?
This is a San Pedro.
Right.
Trichocereus passionai, I think is the proper name for it. But that's used extensively throughout Peru. And it's actually part of their culture now. It's recognised as part of Peruvian culture to use it for ceremonies, for initiation, or for trauma, all that kind of thing.
So what can you do with that? When you say that, what do you mean it's used as in it's cut down and put in a...
Yeah, I think they process it in a certain way. As it is now, it's not illegal in this country as long as you're not doing anything untoward. That is just a cactus now. Yeah. But when they're more mature and at a certain, you can process them in, for whatever purpose, the people in Peru do. Yeah. And same with the peyote as well, which is a smaller one. They kind of use that, to... I think the Native Americans use that as well, for their kind of in their culture, for their kind of initiations and visiting the afterlife or other realms and stuff like that. Yeah.
And have you done any of that?
No. I've not. No.
What's the reason you've not done that?
It's not legal. It's not legal. I think
have you gone down the plant medicine route? Have you done the psilocybin, or have you done anything like that?
I've like I said, I've had the Amanita muscaria. I've tried that, and
right.
I have.
So what's that then? Tell me the experience when you have that.
That was just there was nothing. It was kind of that was just more about the after the withdrawal symptoms. It was kind
yeah,
of...
but what does it do? Does it stop them? What?
Yeah, it kind of, yeah, it just stops the withdrawal symptoms. It seemed, yeah, it was funny. You didn't really get like much of a feeling off of it or nothing like that, you know, from like the tea or whatever. But
it was more like an inner healing.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So you've never done the psilocybin, you've never done ayahuasca, you've never been.
I've never done ayahuasca.
Have you ever had a calling for it?
I do. I have said to my wife that it is on my bucket list, or our bucket list, to maybe go to Peru
to do it together
and do the ayahuasca. Yeah, do that together. Do the whole, because it's the whole experience, isn't it? You go there, you go for a couple of weeks or something like that, and they get you ready for it and prepare you for it and stuff like that. Yeah.
How long have you been into the cactuses then? How long have you?
I don't know. I think it was about 5 years ago, probably. I started growing them. Yeah, I just have a few at home. Yeah.
So what is your sort of like daily routine now like when it comes to spirituality and stuff like that? Do you go on any retreats and stuff, or what do you sort of like?
My wife does sound baths.
Oh, does she?
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. So she's just quit the exec lifestyle, and she's moved to more of this like spiritual healing and stuff. So she does sound baths and breath work and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, she does, you know, sound baths for me whenever we've got our own little Zen room, and you know, she does a sound bath for me, which I would recommend to anybody. You know, they're amazing. You know, they're a fantastic thing. Yeah.
So when your wife says you ramble on with stuff, what are you usually rambling on about?
It's usually it's just sort of things like when I go, I've got a, you know, like health and stuff like that. You know, like fasting is, you know, I'm into. I've done a bit of fasting, and when I try to tell my wife the benefits of the fasting and stuff like that, you know, and I get on one, you know, I get really, you know, passionate about, you know, like people, you know, you need to realise how good this is and all that kind of stuff.
So what is your protocol for fasting then? What have you got a certain way you're doing it? You?
Yeah, what works for me is kind of because of my job, and it's kind of it's you know, it's graft. I can't really do. I do like a day. So from a Thursday, I'll have my last meal on a maybe a Thursday evening, and then I'll go right through to Saturday morning for my next meal.
So what's that then? How many hours fast is that?
It's about 30. If I go from say 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock Thursday evening to 6 o'clock Saturday morning, that's 36 hours, which I can do on, you know, with my job and everything like that. But yeah, it is. You do feel good off it. You do feel better. You do feel It's your guts. Your guts, your second brain, isn't it? Or I think it's more like your first. This is where everything starts. You know, when you fast, all the good stuff starts in your gut first. All the stem cell reproduction, autophagy, you know, and after 24 hours, you get stem cells growing in your stomach, and because I think that's you know, your gut is your health, isn't it? It's your mental health, it's your physical health, you know. So that, yeah, it's kind of when I get on that, you know, and I say, oh, we need, you know, like drinking, and we need cut down, or, you know, all these kind of things, and then I get away with myself, you know. Yeah.
So what is it you're usually eating? So when you're doing your fast, what do you usually break your fast with?
I'll use I'll get if funds allow, I'll get a nice steak, and you know, and I've done that before, or scrambled eggs or avocado, you know, something that's. They recommend maybe getting a bowl of berries and yogurt, you know, half an hour before your actual main meal, just to get your gut going again, and then going to, like, you know, something like steak or eggs or avocado or something like that. Yeah.
So you're always watching what you're eating then?
I do my best. I'm not perfect.
Right.
I do slip up, you know, from time to time, but yeah, I do try. I'm aware of, you know, my diet and
so this is
stuff
all
like that.
self-taught, like it's just
Yeah. I've done. I had like years ago. I've been like I was unhealthy years ago, and I had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all the usual things, and I kind of went down more of the alternate route because my doctors wanted to put me on statins and all that kind of stuff, and I work for having none of that. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I think it just causes problems further down. So, and I kind of addressed it through diet and exercise and stuff like that, and sort of I had high blood pressure. That's like okay now. So that's just through my own like diet and exercise. That's so it is something that you can do, but I do like to read. I like watching my podcasts, the Joe Rogan and stuff like that for different perspectives on things and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, Scaffolder, and then you've got this way about you. Have you not thought about maybe moving more into the?
I have.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've thought about it because I do like.
I do feel like that's why you're here,
Yeah, I do feel like I do want to help people.
Right.
Like I do love like guys at work, if they've got a problem or anything like that, and I've got a bit of advice on that thing. I'm no expert, but if I've got a bit of advice and that's worked for me, then I do like to.
Then why can't you and your missus
people.
put like a day event on and like charge people for it, and you give the knowledge of what you've got, and then you
I don't know. I've just
you
never
might
thought
put
about
something
that.
on.
Yeah,
Is that why you're here?
Well,
are you here for me
possibly.
to tell you this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just my wife. When you had the invitation, my wife was like, "You have to go. You cannot go to this. This could be life changing for you. This could be something. If you don't go, you could regret. So
this is something you've already been thinking about.
I have thought. We have spoke about it. Me and Beck have spoke about. Going down different routes, but it's just.
So what stops you, Rick?
It's the financial thing mainly,
But you'd have to stop scaffolding.
Exactly, yeah, and then it's like it's you kind of tied.
You just put a Saturday event on
like that, yeah. Well, no, yeah, you could do a weekend one, yeah. I suppose,
you do a weekend one,
yeah,
and then it grows, and then you get your feet, and then you start believing in yourself, and then you start putting more on.
Yeah. Do that's a good idea, that actually. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
You'd have to stop scaffolding.
I never thought about that, yeah.
But why not? What your wife's got, and mate.
Yeah.
I can see you love it.
Yeah, I do.
I can see you genuinely love it.
I do like, that kind of things, like wanting to like give information out, on whatever's, this has worked for me, it might work for you kind of thing, I do with exercise, gym stuff, all that kind of stuff. I do like,
How far have you sort of like delved into the mushrooms and the cactus and really going down that route? Is that not a route that you can educate people?
Well, it's like I said, over here, it's not. It's very taboo, isn't it? Because it's demonised, isn't it? It's illegal.
Well, it depends, doesn't it, if you actually bring your own mushrooms, because it's like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like even
if as long as you're not supplying them and people are bringing their own, and then you put the ceremony on. That's the way around it, you see.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit. I think that's a bit of a. I don't know about that route. I don't know.
It's just education, mate, and knowledge. People need it.
I do like to tell. I do think that. Like certain things are probably overused, like cannabis is probably overused. It does have a history of being more for medicinal purposes and stuff like that. And the same with mushrooms. Everybody thinks, you have these mushrooms and then you go off and you hallucinate and you trip and you want to fly and all that. And I think it should be used as more in medicinal, for not just to, to sit there and just have trees talking to you or whatever. There is.
I wish trees talk to me. There were no trees talking to me.
That's not perfect.
It was fucking brutal.
That's not my own personal
there were
experience,
things talking.
by the way.
There were things talking to me. They weren't trees. It was like fucking hell. Not you again.
I think there is a lot of stuff behind it before it was demonised by the government.
Yeah.
People did used to use it for, you know, times must have been hard back in the day, you know, before modern medicine, and I don't doubt that that is what people did to get through hard times.
Yeah.
They used mushrooms because there is solid evidence that does say that they are good for treating PTSD. There are people who've come out of the army that, you know, through like Facebook groups, and they treat the PTSD with doses of psilocybin mushrooms. You know, the ones they have over here, the ones that grow up on the moors. People collect them and they dose them over the year, and that's how they medicate themselves, because they don't want to be addicted to the prescription stuff. So.
Yeah, it changed my life, mate. I've done.
What was it you did?
I've done 3 sort of hero mushroom ceremonies.
Heroic doses.
Yeah, heroic doses.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, just to change my life. For
the
better, open my heart. I mean, beautiful. Brutally beautiful. But the last one, after it was a week later. I saw my mum, and I said to her, "Look, Mum, I'm holding a lot of resentment towards you. I just want to say I'm sorry. Right. I just want to say that I love you, and that I just want to build the effort." And our relationship's changed. I didn't realise how much resentment I was carrying towards her.
That's the ego side of it, isn't it? That
Massive.
you have ego death when you hit that big dose. It's ego dissolution, isn't it? So like I said, there is a lot of people that do talk about that on Facebook. You know, everybody needs to go down that route. The world, I would go as far as to say the world would be a lot better place if people were allowed to understand you know, the benefits of that kind of medicine.
My big one was control, mate. I'm fucking like, you know, run a business. Everything you got to have in control, and you got this bit of a scarcity mindset and stuff. And when I went into my first mushroom ceremony, like, I was like, right, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to come up a little bit, you're going to see some colours, and I'm fucking just planning it out. And the mushroom just went
bang.
That's not happening. And I'm like,
ideas.
Fuck. Right, and I'm like, look, I just need to fucking surrender here. And that in itself, and then when I came back and integrated that teachings that he's taught me within real life, it fucking changed everything. Letting go of control, you know, being able to just delegate to people, and you know, beautiful, mate.
It
beautiful. Like you said, that ego death.
It is. Like I say, it's something that people need to be more educated on, and it will help a lot of people rather than going down the medication routes, I think. I think
when I first, because I've had mushrooms before, but more on a recreational thing, you know, you have it with your mates and stuff, and like going into it, just like, I don't want to do this again, because it's just like, this was just so ceremonial, with the right healer, the right sound, with intention, which is beautiful.
Everything's your environment. With anything like that, it's you know, you've got to be calm and you know, cool, and you know, it's like I say, it's like when you go to the Peruvian jungle, where you go and you do the ayahuasca. Everything's about, you know, that you do meditation, and because it can also be an uncomfortable thing if you're not mentally prepared for it. So from what you know, from what I can gather, like from what they say, because it's a powerful. I
think I'm going to do. I feel like there's a calling coming for me at some point. I've loved the mushrooms, and it's got me to a beautiful spot. And I do kind of one a year. It feels right, and then I think now I'm sort of mentally prepared to do the ayahuasca. I think going straight into the ayahuasca, I think it would have probably traumatized me. I think.
I think you do have to be. I think you would have to be. I don't know. Would you have to have, if you prepared for it in that way, and you go over for the 2 weeks, and you do start from scratch? If you've never done anything like that, would it work for people? Probably. I think I think if you were to do it like, I've got some DMT or whatever it is, you know, and do this, and then it could completely throw you out of balance. Whereas that there, you know, you can go and you're in the right setting with the right
space
people.
And the integration back into it and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm sure there's some like not so good ones as well, because I've heard of people like just having it and then flying back on the plane and no integration, no time to, you know, so it's, the people have got to be careful.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. When I'd said that I had truffles years ago at a stag do in Amsterdam. This is what I've remembered this because of the surrounding kind of thing, and it wasn't the best place to do it amongst strangers, amongst a strange place, and it wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't something, you know, that I would recommend. That, you know, when people do say that they're going to go over to Amsterdam, I would always recommend, if you've never done them, don't do it there. That's not the place, you know. So yeah, but that was truffles, or not mushrooms, wouldn't it? They do, it's different over there, like for the legal system or something like that. I think mushrooms were illegal. They have truffles, so yeah, I wouldn't. No. It is all about your surroundings and your people you're with, and, you know, being relaxed and setting your intentions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I'm really interested in the plant medicine, mate. Really interested in it. You know, it's been around for fucking centuries.
It has,
centuries, hasn't it?
Yeah. I have thought to myself, you know, what, you know, with the peyote and stuff like that, but they're just it's just a shame to, you know, to have to, like, you know, to cut it up or process it or whatever it is. You know, when I see some of them are like 15 years old, that's you know, that's quite a long, and you just think, but I think that's why the Native Americans hold it in such like respect, because it's, you know, it's taken that amount of time to grow, and then that's when it only 15-20 years, that's when the mescaline starts to, you know, be produced within the cactus. So
so what is it? Mescaline?
Mescaline, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
Mescaline. So it's actually mentioned in the Matrix, in the White Rabbit scene. Have you seen it? The Matrix? So there's a scene where the girl comes to the door with the white rabbits, and there's a reference to mescaline there by one of the guys within the Matrix, like, mescaline, the only way to fly. Right, yeah, I remember. That's what he's on about. So he's on about cactus medicine, and, you know, that might be a tie-in with the Matrix, and, you know, leaving it or something like that. It's all little subtle things, isn't there? So yeah.
There was one in there, because I think in ayahuasca the sort of like grandmother medicine, and then I think I messaged you about saying there's a grandfather medicine, which is a cactus as well. But I'm not too.
Oh no, I'm not
sure. I'm not too sure on that.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned the grandfather medicine, that was the first time I'd heard. I'd heard that.
I'm sure there is a certain cactus, as they call it, the grandfather medicine, and like them, I don't know for 100%.
I think the only cactus I know is the San Pedro and the peyote, that have this sacred medicine, you know, inside them. But yeah.
So to sort of experience that, the sort of like cactus medicine, where are people practicing that? If you wanted to,
I mean, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody over here that does it, to be fair, and the groups really don't say it. It's kind of stuff off YouTube that I've seen. It's more in like South America, where I think this one is, and stuff like that. I've never. I think you'd have to go into like deepest, darkest Peru, you know, to experience, you know, more of the cactus medicine. I think that, like I say, a lot of people don't. The peyote, I think over here, not many people grow it, because you are allowed to grow it and you are allowed to have it. But I think because it takes so long to grow and people have them for such a long time, they just don't want to sacrifice them. I don't think. Is kind of the feedback I get off people. They've had this, like some of mine I've had for, you know, 2-3 years, and, you know, they've got a long way to progress. And then I think at the end, you know, if I ever did want to try it, could I? You know, I don't know. It depends on how things were at the time, how my mental state was, or could it help, or, you know,
So interesting, mate, isn't it? Really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I said, these things are put there. There's, it's just. Is it a coincidence that it works that way for us?
Yeah.
Is it put there? Is it like for a was it there to help people in hard times? Is it there as a doorway to another dimension or whatever it is? To get messages back. That's what they reckon DMT is, isn't it? There's lots of talk of that entities. People have seen entities who take DMT and have got messages back from that. Apparently like having it, but that's supposed to be like in and out, isn't it? That's like the main
about 12
ingredient.
minutes or something, isn't it? DMT.
It's around that time. But I think that's the main substance in ayahuasca, isn't it? But they mix it with another root. So DMT is pretty much in and out. DMT is produced by your body, isn't it? Your body produces that. That's why apparently it's in and out. Your body knows what it is, processes it, gets it out the system.
Right.
But what these ancient people knew how to do was to mix this root with that root to delay the process, to make it last an hour. So whatever it does, so DMT is processed, your liver processes it and releases an enzyme to get rid of it and break it down. Well, the natives in South America knew how to mix this other root with this root to tell your body, well, leave that be, leave it in there for a bit. And then that's why the ayahuasca experience is a lot longer. But these people knew, it's been around for thousands of years. These people knew how to, how did they know that this root with that root would make this, because separately they don't do anything. But you put the two together and it makes this fantastic cocktail, if you like, that people travel all around the world for, to have this life-changing experience. There's a guy that I follow on, he's called Graham Hancock, and he's done many ayahuasca retreats, and he always goes on, if every leader in the world was to do an ayahuasca retreat, it would be a completely different place, because ego dissolution and stuff like that, everybody should go there and experience it and have that. I think there is, and I think a lot of it, that is why it is demonized so much by the governments, because the power of it it's powerful, and it brings people together, isn't it? I think. Yeah,
it's true power, isn't it? Yeah. Not what you think. They've not really got power. They say they've got power, but the power's in.
Yeah, that's when you get me off onto people when people are separated, division.
Yeah.
All kinds of divisional tools keep people. Religion is a divisional tool, and it just keeps us battling. Everything from sport to fighting over football teams and stuff like that. Everything is because they know that from a very young age you are taught to be in competition with your fellow man, aren't you?
Yeah.
So straight away it's like, we must beat that other person. But that's not how things are. We have the power to the people, but separation, divide and conquer is, the tool that the governments use to keep us all fighting amongst ourselves, and not, hang on a minute, these lot are doing a crap job, which they used to do back in the day, didn't they? They didn't mess about, did they? The French, didn't like what were going on, and they sorted things out, didn't they? So historically, but like I say, I think that was probably maybe a big driver behind it. I think psychedelics were behind a lot of the Renaissance, and a lot of the buildings built in the Renaissance, because they're all geometrical shapes, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's what psychedelic trips show, is everything's broken down into geometry, and that's maybe the inspiration. All these old cathedrals, all the geometry, maybe that's where people have used that. So it's a very powerful thing that's demonised for the government's purposes or own agenda.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I just love that the connection side of it, of like just like bringing people together. You know, but the only way you can do that is that you've got to open up people's hearts, because if you live in fear, you close off your heart, don't you?
Yeah.
And you don't let anybody in.
No.
But you know, the mushrooms have shown me to really open up my heart. And I just let a hell of a lot more people in. And really, that's the trick: getting rid of that fear, getting rid of that ego, so you can connect with more people.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. It is. Like I say, it is a profound thing. It is a profound thing. Yeah.
It's just nice that you've sort of watched this Mythbuster thing, and it set you off on a journey to know that if your hearts are in sync, if you like look at each other, and that's the thing that's really.
That was the thing that made me think there's something definitely between. There's something between everything. It's not just about like believing what's been written down in a book or what you've been taught at school. There is something for me that made it as if like it was definite. There's this realm or whatever it is where everything is connected. And you know, like I said, some people are tuned in, some people are completely tuned out and don't want to, they can't like wrap their heads around it or whatever, whereas other people can embrace it and change their lives through it.
I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and it's always been my thing, the Force, it like flows in between us, and we're all sort of like connected.
I think there's little subtle things in that, isn't there? Like you said, with the Force, and I'm not saying like everybody. I'm sure there are people out there who can read bodies. I'm not sure whether they can influence people's words like a Jedi Knight can do. Get them to say something that maybe in the future, you don't know, when humans have evolved a bit more, we don't know. Star Wars could be the future of human civilization. You don't know, do you? It could be something far off into the future. I've always like Star Trek and stuff like that. Things could be a look into the future, but like I said, with division and stuff like that, if you were to think and we were to go up there, because I always think, while we're all fighting down here, there's all this up there to go to. We're fighting down here amongst ourselves. Put everything together, and we can do greater things. We could get up there. We could, there could be a vast, network of other species, doing that, and we're just too stuck here in ourselves.
Down in the heaviness.
Exactly. You just don't know. I don't always know things for definite, but I just like to have this open mind and think, what if that was the case, or what if it was that way? Wouldn't it be amazing, if we could just sort everything out down here and just put all our resources together, and we could just do greater things, rather than just build weapons of mass destruction, or have
You should share this knowledge, mate. Within you. I know you said the ramblings, but you've got to know. For some reason, you retain information really well.
I do.
Don't
Yeah,
you?
I'm not very. That's why when you said about when you did that post, and I was like, that sounds like me. You can walk into a room, and you can feel the energy in the room. You can tell when it's off, or when there's a vibe. But like when people walk in, I can tell. Something's bothering people, or whatever. And I lost my train of thought then.
It's fine, mate. But I mean, when you sort of so is that what connected with you with that post that I put out about that?
Oh because it was because star signs. I do believe there is something within astrology and star signs. From the minute you're conceived, from the minute the sperm hits the egg, the planets, from your development, the planets' rotation and the gravitational fields affect how you develop within the room. We all know that the moon's gravitational field affects women's menstrual cycles and moods, and there's more crimes on a full moon and stuff like that. So when Jupiter comes into play, or Venus or Saturn during that development, that is what creates the the personality traits of each star sign, you know, like Pisces and whatever, crabs, Cancers is a water thing as well. So that was what, you know.
Is that what you are, Cancer?
No, I'm Pisces.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, so both water signs. So I thought, you know, some of the others, like I say, I'm not academic. I'm not great at maths. Anybody will know that. They call me Rick the Tape at work. But I can assimilate things that I'm interested in. You know, things that really spark my thing. I can take on, you know, the things, you know, I could go on for ages about other stuff like that I know about, that I've read about, like, you know, and that them things, you know, they do spark, you know, ancient history and everything like that, alternate histories and all that kind of stuff all fascinates me, you know, alternate opinions of history and all that kind of stuff, you know. Yeah.
And do you often get to talk about it, or do you just?
I do at work.
Do you?
I do at work. Some of the lads I do, like, yeah. Some I think they do listen to me, and when I go off on one. But yeah, as far as that's just, it's just the work thing that I kind of. It's kind of just at work, and then at home, you know, that's kind of they're the people that kind of listen to me, you know, if I've. Yeah, but there's guys at work who we just, one of the older guys who we could just talk for hours, put the world to rights and stuff like that, you know, about stuff, you know, and how the world is and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think it's good to have them alternative views on how things are, you know. I think it is it's knowledge expanding, you know, to you know, rather than just learn from what you were taught at school through the generic, you know, history and stuff like that. There's a whole world out there that we haven't been taught about at school, and it's there for, you know, the internet's an amazing thing, and it's there for the taking. That information is there for everybody to you know, to educate themselves on, whether it be from fasting to, you know, cactus, or, you know, health and fitness and everything like that. You know, it's a good thing. Yeah.
It's your job now to share, mate. It's your job to share it now.
I do like shit. I do like passing on, you know, whatever I've read. Some of it makes sense. Some of it can be a bit far out there sometimes, but, you know, I do when my brain gets off on one. You know.
How does it make you feel about, like, putting, like, some sort of little workshop event on where you're talking and educating people?
I kind of like the idea of it, to be honest. It does sound like something. It's that self-doubt. Is like, I've always got that bit of a side of me where I'm like, nobody wants to come to that, you know. Nobody wants to hear what you've got to say, kind of thing. Who's going to come? And it is a wrong way to think, you know. And I do need to kind of push past that, you know. But yeah, it just sounds like a good,
If anything you take from this, mate, you need to really sit with that in meditation and just see.
Yeah.
You know, people might want to be taught how to do meditation. People might want to know about cactuses. Maybe you could sell some of your cactuses at the event. You put a sound bath on. You do a bit of education, and it's just a wholesome thing, just to change people's perspectives on how they've thought before, mate. Even if it's not to just open up your heart and connect with people more. You know what I mean? That's the intention of the event.
People are there for you. They're not like on a Facebook group where they're just there to troll. People are there, I suppose, for you, aren't they? To listen to what you've got to say, I suppose. Food for thought, that. Yeah, I'll have a word with my wife later, see what we can. Yeah.
You do it, mate. I'll be there, mate.
Yeah,
I'll be there. Just let me know how much it is. I'll be there.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out how much it is.
Yeah.
Listen, 20, 30 quid a ticket, or whatever it is, mate. Just, you know what I mean, and set your stall out. Just put, you know, get ChatGPT to help you put like a little itinerary together. However you do it. And just put it on.
Right. Yeah.
Sound bath, however you structure it.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll be doing that. We get back. Well, we're going to go for lunch now, so brainstorm.
There needs to be more people, Rick, in this space, like spreading this about getting rid of the ego and connecting with each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, like I said, the world, people who are in that the community, they do have a lot of love for everybody. People like can't do enough to help anybody, you know, in you know, learning or on the road, you know, to self-improvement.
You could become Rick Healey, the spiritual scaffolder. Right, that could be your new Instagram handle.
The spiritual scaffolder.
Yeah. But think about what scaffolding does.
Yeah. Well,
so there you go. There's your new little brand, mate.
Yeah.
Put that on Instagram.
Is that the name of the podcast?
Just whatever it is, mate. Just put out that, and then people will follow you because of it. Start putting out all your nuggets, mate, onto Instagram and stuff, and just start building scaffolding, building that.
Yeah, that's a good
Watch it, mate. Honestly, you put out just anytime, mate. You just put out that, brother.
Yeah.
Put out that frequency and just like watch the frequency come back.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's like I said, it's always just self doubt, you know.
I'm not asking you to stop scaffolding, mate. I'm just asking you to put an event on once a month with your missus on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Nobody turns up, and it's just me that turns up. Brilliant. Right, that's all that matters. You video it, put it out on Instagram and stuff. Just share the love, mate. It's not your information.
Well, no.
That information's been given to you to share.
I'm passing it on.
Yeah, the way you deliver it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
That's what we'll be doing this afternoon.
Right, sound. So we're going to finish the podcast there. I want everybody to go and follow Rick Healey. It's Rick Healey, innit?
It is, yeah.
RickHealey. Rick Healey on Instagram. Watch what happens now after this podcast.
No pressure. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best.